In an ancient courtyard of the Louvre Museum, a new roof has appeared. Meant to suggest flowing silk or a desert tent, it covers what the museum's director believes is the finest collection of Islamic art to be seen anywhere.
It's a very comprehensive collection which goes from Spain to the frontiers of China to India, from the 7th century to the 19th century. And a large part of this collection was already in the royal collections since the Middle Ages.
At least some of the rich assembly of objects and art was already on display in different parts of the museum, but much had simply been in storage, in some cases for decades. The idea of bringing it all together began 10 years ago under former President Jacques Chirac. Italian architects designed the 3,000 square meters of new exhibition space, mostly underground in an unused courtyard of the Louvre. It's the first major expansion of the museum since the opening of the pyramid more than 20 years ago. The state put up about a third of the €100 million cost, but the biggest single private donor was Saudi Prince Alwaleed bin Talal through a foundation run by him and his wife.
Islam is being stigmatized right now because some acts of its people by being very extremist and terrorist. So I think that the governments, leaders, NGOs, institutions like ours, Alwaleed bin Talal Foundation, has a duty and responsibility to begin changing that mentality and stigma.
We want to create a positive civil society, more specifically in the region. We basically want, our vision is to, for every individual to live with dignity, independence and hope.
Since the project was years in the making, the timing of its opening was not anything but accidental. But nonetheless, many connected with the Louvre's new Islamic wing believe the moment could not have been better, given the conflict and misunderstanding between the West and East. Anything that helps narrow the gap between the cultures, the director of the Louvre believes, is greatly needed. The exhibit he proudly calls an Islamic art dialogue. Jim Bitterman, CNN, Paris.
One of the financiers of a new Islamic wing at the Louvre Museum in Paris has said in an interview that the violent anti-US protests over a movie mocking the Prophet Muhammad and Islam represented the sentiment of only a minority of the world's Muslims and that the demonstrations were an overreaction.
We should not really honor that despicable and unacceptable movie with such demonstrations and give it much attention, because really this movie really just does not deserve to be seen by anyone whatsoever.
Known for his investments in some of the world's top firms, including US bank Citigroup, Saudi Prince Alwaleed bin Talal said that reforms in his homeland, the world's top oil exporter, were not proceeding fast enough and that Arab states must learn lessons from Arab Spring revolts to avoid being swept by more violence.
You have to remember that those people that go on the street and shout and scream and raise their voice are the minority, are not the majority. So no, my answer to you is that Islam is a lot stronger, is a lot more resilient than having a demonstration here or there to really impact its honourable past.
The prince was estimated by Forbes magazine last year to have a fortune of over $19 billion, and he has invested heavily in nurturing relations between Islam and Christianity, including a new $22 million Islamic art and civilization exhibition at the famous Louvre Museum.